Wiring time. Kill me now. Okay, a little bit of a different episode. I've got loads of wiring to do, and this guy is going to do it for me. So this episode is going to be me doing all the work up there, and me explaining what I'm doing as I get there, sort of. Anyway, just watch it, have fun. Okay, I'm going to show you what I've been doing here. Here's the 1UZ ECU with some tails that need to be connected up. This is the car interface that sits up here. Well, it's a car fuse box, but that sits up there, and it has a few tails that I need, and then through that hole down there is a loom that I've got coming up here. This is the old Focus engine loom. That then goes through into the car, yoink, where the ECU sits. So here's the ECU plug, this big one. The ECU sits here, and then on top of the ECU sits what's known as a GEM module, which is a general electronics module that feeds some data to everything via CAN. So there's my first problem, is these clocks need a input from the GEM. This GEM requires certain data from this, which is the Ford Focus ECU, which means this needs to get some information from the engine, which obviously is going to be very unhappy about, because all of a sudden it's gained 4 cylinders. So to get all that working, I need to go to the front. So what I plan on doing is here is the output from the engine loom. So these get plugged into here, which is the 1UZ ECU. This is likely going to go in the car with the other 2 ECUs. That means all of this needs to be run around the back instead of coming over this side, and then I need a loom of some kind to go across the back to reach this, which sits over there, and tie it all in nicely. So I'm going to set you up, and you can watch me do that for a couple of hours. So to carry on, I think I'm going to have to take the engine out again. Never mind. Gonna be done. It's clean. I did it. So we've got a few things to sort out because it's just a mess. But what I'm going to do is make a bracket for the ECU. It's going to fit in the wheel well of the passenger side on the Focus because there is literally nowhere else to put it. This thing is massive, and it's the easiest place that I can get the cables to. So I'm going to make a bracket for this. I've got some pickup points on here and put it on the car, and then I got somewhere to aim for then, so at least I know where certain bits of the wiring is going. So, bracket for this. Bracket number 2, still a bit hot at the minute, but I've got this distribution block. Open up. So we've got our battery in, and then we've got some feeds that we can take off, and there's even fused feeds as well, which is handy if I ever want to use them, but they're going to come in handy for some of the cables that I've got. That closes up like that. This has bits that it sits in, and it'll sit in there like that. Then this sits on the car. Not going to do it yet because it's still hot. Just going to show you what I've done on the car. Okay, there it is, bolted in. Now all I need is that bit that I forgot. So this bit should just go in there and click in place. You need some support on the back, I think, because it wobbles. However, that's there like that. We've got some red feeds that need to go in there, and we can also use some to come out to the ECU, which is down here. This is where I've mounted the ECU. There's one plug, the rest of the plugs are on this mess. So they will come down either on top of the frame rail or underneath and around, probably on top, even though it's a bit close to the exhaust. So they're going to come along top, plug in and interface with the car up there. That's taken me all day to do those two brackets, but at least they're in now and I've got somewhere to aim for. That bracket is fairly sturdy. I'm quite impressed with that, even though that started off as a complete mess. I may have to cover it because it is in the line of fire, but I'll worry about that another time. Anyway, that's enough fabricating today. back to wiring tomorrow, and I think I'm going to have to buy a new camera because that one's dead. Look, you are plugged in. Plugged in because I broke the battery terminals. Oops. Now that I've sorted out where the ECU is going and that power distribution block, I can put the engine back in. One could argue I didn't really need to take it out in the first place. But is what it is, going back in. This time I'm going to put the gear selector on as well, so that we have, so basically I can sit in the car and make brum brum noises. Anyway, put it in. Just as a note, this is the BMW Z5, Z4, one of those numbers, gear selector thing. I've cut it down and re-welded it to the right size, and this is cast, so I didn't really want to weld it. So I just put this janky cover over it, so it bolts it together. It'd be perfectly fine, there's no dramas with it. Just need to make sure that it all lines up properly. Okay, so the ECU is here. These cables will run down under there, along the chassis rail. This will have to be stuck in there somewhere around the back of the ABS module. And then the exhaust, this is really bad lighting for you, isn't it? Hold on, let me see if I can get some better lights. Yeah, so ECU, cables running along the chassis rail. In there is an ABS pump right about there, so these cables need to go down the side of the ABS pump, and this exhaust then and the turbo sits up nicely out of the way, so hopefully everything stays out of heat's way and doesn't die. Shouldn't be a problem if I cover this in some decent conduit, and this is only going to be half the size anyway, roughly about that size. All of that needs to come up there, but it's currently tied together down here with ratchet tails. Spaghetti! Look at the mess. So I lied. The cables are actually going to go up here with this lot. This is the headlights and all that sort of stuff for the actual car. So this is just going to go up here, nice and out of the way. This lot goes in this box and connects to the car. There's a couple of cables left on the ECU that needs to be run back through here to connect to the car, and then it's just this one plug that connects to that mess. Most of that can go though, because that's Focus engine loom, but there is a plug on here somewhere. I think it's that one. That one right there. Yes. Plugs into that one right there, and then that talks to the ECU. But that's for another day. Okay, so this box now sits on here. This is going to be my terminal for alternator and all sorts of stuff, and then these two cables are going to go off to the battery, so I need to terminate this one to fit in there in the bottom one, which gives me just enough cable. Not massively happy about that, but is what it is. And then I've got this slot from the car that also needs power, and I'll chuck them in a couple of these. So we'll see how that goes. Got a new oops. Got a new crimping tool and some crimps, so hopefully it's just a case of trimming these off, crimping them up, and then all I'm going to do is put power to this and power to this thick one, and we'll have the capabilities to start it. Alright, that's a bit better. Just need to hook this up to a live and hook this up to a live. I think I'm going to leave these separate for the time being until I know where the battery's going. But I could just touch these together, touch them on a positive terminal of the battery, and we've got power to the car. So that's in progress. I've also got a larger lug for this when I eventually come to doing that one as well. But for now, I'm done here. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is mount the igniters over here somewhere. Just need to cut this bracket off and weld a better version of it on. And then I'm going to tidy up before this mess grows and turns into something I can't handle. That was easy. All I did was cut most of this bracket off and then bolted it up to a bit there, and it's sturdy enough. Hopefully I'll be getting rid of them for some coil-on plugs at some point. But that'll do there for now. What am I doing now? Battery hooked up to car. Car is earthed, as is the block, because I haven't made the block to car earth yet. I wanted to start it with the key, or at least turn it over with the key, but I've messed the wiring up somewhere, or the relay in the front isn't activating. Sorry, the relay in the car isn't activating because something to do with the standard ECU. But if I take this wire here and put it on here, it'll turn over. Now we're going to find out why it won't work in the car. While I'm here, I thought I'd show you inside the car too. So, we've got the clocks plugged in, and we have a Christmas tree. We have light, and all I did was plug the gem module in. Oh, look at that, that's popped out. That might have something to do with it. Hold on. Let's plug this back in. Click, 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 click. Christmas tree on the dash. Probably because the ECU isn't plugged in. So the ECU plug is down here somewhere. There it is. No ECU plugged into it. I could plug the ECU in and see what happens. I guess there's no harm in that. Otherwise, there is a fuse box there, which I should check, because the starter relay is in that one. So the only reason I've done that was, one, I wanted to check the start motor still works, or not still works, does work because it's brand new, before putting the inlet back on, which is my next job. And also wanted to check the start circuit, which I proved doesn't work. So I've got a bit more work to do there, but at least I know the starter works, so the inlet can go back on, and then I'm done with messing about in there. I was going to leave it there, but I felt a bit like I've shortchanged you. So what I've done is spent the last couple of days poring over the documents that I've got. That is the focus wiring diagrams, and trying to work out exactly what makes the key turn the engine over. I found it, and it was a really simple fix. A really simple temporary fix. So temporarily it's all working. So watch this. I call that a success. A temporary success. See, that wasn't so bad, was it? Got there in the end. Since then, I've actually been looking at some fuel pump potential problems. I did try and get the fuel pump to run, or at least a feed to the fuel pump, but there's a module in between all of this. Oh, nothing's easy. Nothing is easy. Anyway, that's it for today. I've done enough wiring. There's probably a little bit more that needs to be done, but I'll just do them as and when I come across them. Next time we'll do some more mechanical bits. Hopefully I'm going to try and get some prop shaft stuff done for next episode. So come back and watch that, and yeah, leave some comments, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. Just come back and watch. This is fun, he says. Ciao. Andy. Say hello, Randy. Oh, you're soaking. Wet dog. So, does the wiring pass or what? You don't care. Let's stay in his face. Oh, potato vision.